record this meeting.
We missed the in-person meetings, Charlotte, and the lunch bags ready to grab and sit down and eat and communicate and talk and listen and share and learn.
Yes. Yeah, I apologize that we can't provide physical meals for you guys today.
That's okay.
Someday I'll figure out how to mail them to you.
It's a bring your own environment.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well the mailing will work, Charlotte. I got a Christmas card last Friday from Charles County here at the Tri-County Council. So that did take a little while to get here. I was wondering, Charlotte, can you tell if 3 new members are here?
I'm back. Sorry, John, I missed that. I got kicked out briefly. My internet's.
Well, I think I'll go ahead and get started then. Welcome, everyone. I'm John Hartline. I'm the chairman of the Rural Maryland Council. I'm also the executive director for the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland. And I want to welcome all of you here to this meeting, the Rural Maryland Council, our regular quarterly meeting. As was mentioned earlier, we usually have these in Annapolis in the Senate building, and we usually have food bags prepared for you. I'm glad you're here, but I apologize that we can't meet in person. As soon as we all get our vaccinations, that'll happen. And I'm glad to see the process has begun. And it's actually, I'm hearing some complaints, but overall, I think real progress is being made. So I look forward to maybe this summer, we might be all able to get together in person again. We have 3 new members here. I'm not sure which one of them are available, but I wanted to mention them. Representing District 5, which is Caroline Talbot in Dorchester's County. Deborah Bowden, is she here?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Deborah. Do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Sure. Debbie Bowden, Caroline County Economic Development Director. I'm honored to be a part of the Rural Maryland Council. I've been I worked for the state of Maryland starting in 2006 in the Department of Transportation, and I learned about the RMC then, and I've always really appreciated what they do for the state, areas of the state. So for economic development for Caroline County, it's really an important agency, an important partnership, and I'm happy to be such a partner with many of the other board members here on the Eastern Shore and across the state. So just thank you. I'm honored to be able to take this position and be a new member. So thank you.
Well, thank you for volunteering to serve here, and we really appreciate it. The second person on our list representing District 6, Wycomico, Worcester County, Matt Holloway.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you doing?
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure, yeah. So those of you that don't know me, I own Baywater Farm, which is a hydroponic lettuce farm down here in Salisbury. Also have Quantico Creek Sod Farms. I was on the Wycomico County Council for 8 years, and I'm currently on the Chop Tank Electric Board of Directors. So really looking forward to being on this. Josh Hastings is the one that got me interested in being on this board, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate your service here. And representing District 4, Cecil, Kent, and Queen Anne County, Sam Shoge, are you there? Hearing no response. Yes. Sam is the Executive Director for the Kent County Chamber of Commerce. And now we're moving on to the approval of the minutes for the Executive Board meeting, September 25th, 2020. The minutes were sent out as part of the package. And
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes.
thank you, Steve McHenry. Do I hear a second?
Debbie Bowden, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion or changes, modifications on the minutes? Hearing none. Let's see. I think I'm going to give you guys a chance to figure out how to mute and unmute yourself. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. December 2nd minutes for 2020, the annual executive board meeting. We need approval for those.
So moved, Steve McHenry.
Thank you, Steve. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. Any comments or changes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 And that takes care of that. I'm going to turn to Scott Warner available.
Yes, I am, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
It's my pleasure to actually introduce our guest speaker today. And this introduction is going to be short, but it's really, really from the heart. Our senator is absolutely phenomenal. U.S. Senator Ben Cardin has been very instrumental in helping Maryland for years. He's been very supportive of the Rural Maryland Council, which is terrific. We are so glad when he can spend just a few minutes to address us or visit with us. He's very engaged.
I'm listening to the meeting. I'm in mute though. So
He's very engaged
Not on-
with the regional councils
Somebody's,
throughout the state, all 5 rural areas. Very supportive of
no
the rural
worries.
areas.
Somebody's not on mute.
Hold on one second.
I think she's off mute.
All right, sorry about that interruption there.
they do. That's the one they gave me.
Could you please mute? We'll try this. To continue, the center not only represents the entire state, but has been tremendous effort representing the rural parts of our state, which of course includes 18 of our counties. Tremendously supportive through EDA, that's the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, which has put tons of money into economic development throughout our state, including Baltimore City, I might add, so it's not just rural. Very supportive of the Appalachian Regional Commission out in Western Maryland. More recently, the center was extremely helpful in a USDA grant that was given on the Eastern Shore for an ag innovation program. That was only one of 3 grants in the entire state that was granted. And we thank the senator who took the lead with our federal delegation on helping elevate that program. Of course, he's been a champion for years on rural broadband, and we all know that's even more on the forefront now than it has been. And I know the 15 years that many of the regional councils have been working on it, but he has led that on our federal delegation with us, and we are very grateful for his leadership with the broadband connectivity for the state of Maryland. And of course, recently with the CARES Act, working for our counties, working throughout the entire state in giving assistance. Thank you very much, Senator Cardin, for that. And I know it's not only just working in DC or working even in the Metro Core. I know I've seen him do roundtables in the rural areas. Within the last couple of months, he's done a roundtable with the economic development directors, listening to and working with them and the regional councils on how the economic development directors and the counties are addressing the needs of the rural area. I know he's not only done that on the Eastern Shore, he's done that throughout the state, but I just know I have actually been on those type of calls, and it's just so impressive when he is not only just listening, but extremely engaged and interacting with our the local people on the front line. So again, I just want to thank the senator for all he's done. Like I said, it's meant to be more of a short introduction, but Senator, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're extremely busy in working with our state and working to represent us on Capitol Hill, but thank you very much, and we're very honored that you'll be speaking to us today.
Well, Scott, thank you for that very generous introduction. I'd rather be on the shore meeting with you.
Charlotte, looks like we lost the sound.
I think he's muted. He needs to unmute.
Yeah, I'm just unmuted. I didn't think somebody must have muted. Probably one of my, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I was just thanking Scott for his nice comments, and sorry I can't be with you on the Eastern Shore. I do want to acknowledge that I know that Kim Cradaville is on the line, who represents me so well on the Eastern Shore of Maryland and does a great job. Robin Somerville is on the call, who represents me in the western part of the state. I don't know whether Rachel Jones, I didn't see her listed here for Southern Maryland. I know that Shannon's on the call, who handles a lot of your issues in our DC office. So I have my staff listening to what's going on, and we'll try to follow up on any of the issues. And I very much appreciate what Scott had to say. We do try to do everything we can to help all the people of Maryland. And I love the rural parts of our state, and I miss visiting you all and being with you all and seeing the beauty and the strength of our rural areas. These are extremely challenging times. I need not remind you of this. On January 6th, I was in the United States Senate as the rioters were knocking on the door, and I was concerned about personal safety, but more concerned about the safety of our democracy. And I must tell you, it was very emotional 2 weeks later, on January the 20th, as I said on the platform on the west side of the Capitol, as we saw the peaceful transition of power in America and our democratic institutions work the way they're supposed to work. And it was emotional to me because it was not just Democrats and Republicans, it was Americans coming together and say, yes, our democratic institution will survive. We may disagree on politics, but we're not going to let those who tried to take over the Capitol prevail. Our democracy will prevail. So on January 20th, obviously, there's a new administration in town. President Biden has outlined his priorities we had several meetings on it this week. Number one priority is to get COVID-19 under control. Number one priority. The vaccine distributions need to be more effective in all parts of our state, including the rural areas. We need to have more transparency so people understand how they can get the vaccination. And we have to do outreach in the underserved communities to make sure everyone has access to the vaccinations in a fair manner. We also want to make sure that we target relief to American families that have been devastated by COVID-19 and to small businesses that have been devastated by COVID-19. I was the ranking Democrat in the last Congress on small business when we crafted the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, and the EIDL loan and grant programs. And we not only did that in the CARES Act that Scott referred to, but we did it also in the most recently passed omnibus bill. And it's also part of President Biden's relief package. And then we want schools to be able to open safely and remain open safely and not worry about the fall, that they make sure that they can stay open. That's our number one priority, is to get COVID-19 under control. The second priority for President Biden is to build back better. And this gives us some opportunities because I know part of our agenda will be, what do we do about the transportation needs in all parts of our state? And I will serve on the Environment and Public Works Committee and most likely be the chairman of the Transportation Subcommittee. So we're going to have infrastructure subcommittee. So we're going to have opportunities to use that to advance the needs in the transportation sector. Let me just comment about the bill that we passed in December, the omnibus appropriation bill. We have a full year appropriation. There's a lot in there for rural America. Scott mentioned the CARES Act. The CARES Act did provide help for the agricultural sector, but we corrected it in the omnibus bill to deal with the poultry industry in Maryland and to deal with our watermen that weren't as protected as we wanted them to be. So we're working very hard to make sure that's true. We also recognize we have to do a better job in regards to the worker visas, whether they be H-2Bs or whether they be a JV, or whatever. We need to have a more permanent way of guaranteeing the labor force, particularly for our rural communities. And we are working on not only a temporary fix, but a permanent fix to the immigration issues. In regards to the Water Resources Development Act, an issue that I take direct interest in as the chair of that subcommittee, we want to deal with the small harbors. It's so difficult to get the Army Corps to do work in our rural areas that are not major harbors, but the harbors are important for the tourism and recreation and life of our rural communities. We're doing more to deal with that. We're dealing with the Army Corps in regards to the rewatering the C&O Canal up in Cumberland. We're working on these issues to help our rural parts of the state. Healthcare, I already talked about it. There's substantial amount of resources in the omnibus bill to help provide help in rural Maryland on healthcare, and there's additional money in the proposal that President Biden has brought forward. Scott mentioned the EDA. I worked with Senator Capito. We improved that bill. We got the revolving loan program in better shape. Extra money was included in the FY21 budget for the EDA, which has been a major help, and we're going to continue to work on that. Broadband. Broadband came, we had a significant problem with broadband before COVID-19. We were fortunate under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to get what we call the superhighway for broadband in Maryland. So we had the ability to connect, but we didn't have the last mile connection. We did not have connectivity, particularly in remote rural areas. The private server companies felt it was not financially worthwhile for them to make that final connection. So we've been using tools, every tool at our disposal, whether it's the Appalachia Regional Commission, or whether it's EDA funds, or whether it's the FCC, whatever we could do, we used to expand broadband connection. But during COVID-19, the inequities really came out when connectivity became critically important for life in Maryland and around the country, whether it was school children or whether it was commerce or was just individual homes. It really brought out the vulnerability of the lack of high-speed internet reliable service. So in the most recent bill, we provided $3.2 billion, that's with a B, dollars to the FCC for emergency broadband programs. This will help particularly low-income families. We also have provided $300 million for local governments to partner with providers to provide access in hard-to-serve areas. So we are going to use every tool at our disposal to expand broadband, recognizing that in Maryland, every single one of our counties have challenges with broadband. In some cases, it's the economics. In other cases, it's the geography. And in rural Maryland, it's the geography that is the principal concern. And we need to make sure that we can provide that service. In rural Maryland, we're very much focused on the tourism industry. It was devastated by COVID-19. The bills that we have worked on will provide targeted relief to the tourism industry. If anyone needs help on that, please contact our office. We help craft the provisions that deal with the PPP and with the shuttered venues, which is a new program that just started under the Omnibus Appropriation Bill that will deal with those venues such as entertainment centers or museums that are really devastated as a result of not being able to have large attendances and therefore their businesses. We've also have a special program for restaurants, and we're looking at some additional help for the restaurant industry. So there's a lot going on that we can help you with. There's funds that are available for rental assistance for low-income families to protect them from eviction. That was in the omnibus bill. Maryland's going to receive $402 million to help low-income families prevent eviction. Our school systems will receive in Maryland under the omnibus bill an additional $869 million in Maryland. So the local school systems have money. More money is being suggested in the Biden proposal that will be taking up as early as next week. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of issues that we can help you with. It's Team Maryland. I work very closely with Senator Van Hollen. I work very closely with all 8 members of our House delegation. It really is Team Maryland. Work with the Hogan administration, work with the county officials, and certainly work with our economic development councils that we have in our state. So I wanted you to know that we welcome your suggestions. We want to make sure that you get all the information and access to the partnerships that have been created under the CARES Act, under the Omnibus Appropriation COVID Relief Package that was passed in December, and under the proposal under the Biden administration that will be considered in the Congress next week. We want to make sure that Maryland rural communities have full access to all those tools. It's really an honor to represent you in the Senate, and I'd be glad with your schedule to take some questions if there's time. If not, we'll be glad to follow up any way you would like to. Thank you.
I think we have minutes for questions. Charlotte, do you see anybody that would like to ask a question?
Senator Cardin, Reza Jafari from Talbot County here, the chairman of the Economic Development, and a great supporter of yours for many, many years, including my time at TCS. Would you please comment on the availability of vaccine, COVID vaccine, especially since there are a lot of challenges, as President Biden mentioned the other day, how we are doing and how the Congress and the federal government can help the states and especially rural communities to have a better access and better implementation of the COVID vaccine and the testing, of course, as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question, Lisa. I appreciate it very much. We had a briefing last week with the Hogan administration, our congressional delegation, and we got a briefing from the Biden team yesterday in the Senate on these issues. I'm going to be very clear. There was no plan under the Trump administration in regards to vaccine distribution. We were all amazed at how quickly we were able to develop a vaccine and how effective that vaccine is. And I give all the credit to the scientists, and many of whom reside here in Maryland, and the work that they did. We have 2 vaccines that are currently being used, the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. They're very effective, very safe. Everyone who's eligible should get it. Here's the problem. Under the Trump administration, they delivered a certain number of doses to the states, and it was not a predictable schedule. So the states tried to develop a system on the distribution using different priorities. And as you know, Governor Hogan established first the 1As, then the 1Bs, and then now we're on the 1Cs. And those are different categories of eligible individuals without having a reliable supply chain for the vaccines or even a distribution set up, particularly in the rural parts of our state. So now we have the frustration that there are many, many more people eligible to get the vaccine under the 1A, Bs, and Cs than there are the number of vaccines that are available. And it is the luck of the draw in many cases, and people have been able to get appointments where their neighbors have not been able to get appointments. And in some counties, it's better than other counties. So it's not a fair system, at least it's not being perceived as a fair system, because we haven't had transparency. Now, I know it's been difficult on the state to figure out how to do this, but I look at my friends in other states and they have a better shot or in certain counties are having a better shot to get the shot in their arms. And that's not fair. So I've urged the Hogan administration to be totally transparent on the system, to develop outreach, particularly to the hard to serve communities, including rural areas, to make sure the vaccinations are fairly being distributed. And the Biden administration is committed to making sure that we have a greater supply of vaccines and easier distribution and the funding to the state and counties so that they can do the outreach necessary to reach the otherwise hard to serve communities. So it's a situation right now where the community is frustrated and we have to do much better. And I think help's on the way.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Ben Cardin, Sherwin-Wells would Help America, Montgomery County rural area. Speaking to a lot of the faith and community members and pretty much the minority community members, and they are skeptical about taking the vaccine. With the rollout, with the information on the news that, you know, the first one you get it and then you can't get the second dose, and then the medical professionals are saying it has to be done in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then they're saying it can be done in 6 weeks. And, you know, a lot of them are faith members, so they believe in, you know, the power of, you know, God and healing. And it's just, you know, is this going to be mandatory or is it just voluntarily right now? What is
Sure.
the response for that as far as the concerns that the individuals are having?
The vaccine is certainly voluntary right now. It's not compulsory. There may be a time where we make policy decisions that if you want to participate in certain activities, you're going to have to be vaccinated. That decision has not been made, and it's not clear who would make those decisions, but it is possible that it could be required for certain workforce individuals or for certain educational facilities. But at this point, it's solely voluntary. It's not mandatory at all. Having said that, I had a discussion yesterday with Dr. Carter, who's the Prince George's County Health Officer, and Dr. Sharfstein, who's the former Secretary of Health of Maryland. And they both pointed out the balance on getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine is not even close to a decision. We are all much higher risk factors by not getting the vaccine than getting the vaccine. The efficacy of the vaccine is over 95%, 94 to 95%. And the side effects are minimal, and you know about them early, and they're all treatable. So it is a clear choice that if you're eligible, get the vaccine. Now, you are absolutely right. There is a credibility issue in many communities because we don't have a great history of the way in which vaccines have been used in the past. So we need the people from the community doing outreach to their neighbors and getting them the right information and the opportunity to be vaccinated. So we know that the early numbers indicate that the underserved community has not had as many percentage of their population vaccinated as the general population. We've got to do much better. We've got to take the vaccinations to them. And you need mobile sites, you need the ability to get in communities, and you need the leaders in those communities leading by example, getting the vaccinations themselves and explaining to the community how important it is to be vaccinated. But we know that some people do have religious objections. Some people have whatever objections they have. And at this point, there is no effort being made to make it mandatory, but it's strongly suggested that everyone get the vaccination and that it be equally accessible in all communities in our state. And I'd say one more thing on this. It not only protects you, it protects our community. You've heard this before. We need herd immunity, and we're not going to get to herd immunity until we get 70% of our population vaccinated. So it's also, you know, if you're worried about your church having members showing up, giving their tithes, or participating in our community, the best way to do that is to get this virus behind us. So it's in all of our interests, whether you're a small business operator or whether you want to get your kids back to school or you want to get our life back and meet with your families in a safe manner. We have a responsibility to get this virus under control. And part of that, we've talked about wearing masks and social distancing, but part of that is being vaccinated.
Thank you, Senator. And I might add to that, what I've learned here at the Rural Maryland Council is that, no, wait, go ahead. Oh, okay. So one of the things I've learned is our council is made up a lot of very outgoing people, and they're active in the community. So I would encourage all the members of the council to step forward and be the first ones up when their vaccine is available to go get the shot. And I put my own personal name on the list yesterday in Charles County. And the minute I get the call and the appointment, I'll be there to get the shot.
I think it's very important that people see you getting the vaccination and shot, to know that their leaders believe it's the right thing to do. People will respect that. It gives greater credibility to the importance of being vaccinated.
Do we have any other questions? We're a little short on time here, but we could get one more question.
Hey, John, this is Charlotte. I wanted to ask the senator about the direction of the FCC going forward with, pertaining to broadband and some of the issues related to the RDOF auction, as well as what we can do to ensure that Maryland gets federal investments in the future for broadband.
As you know, this is one of our highest priorities. We've met with the FCC. I was with Congressman Trone last year when we had a forum in the western part of our state with the FCC. It is an issue in all parts of our state. The FCC has its own individual capacity to deal with broadband. It can deal with it in a regulatory setting, but it also has a fund mechanism which they can help. The bottom line is this. As far as last mile connection, the economics of it is challenging for a private company to make that investment. So therefore, there needs to be some incentives. And that's why these funding areas, including the most recent, this $3.2 billion that was put into the most recent omnibus bill, provides that subsidy so it takes the edge off. Part of this is overall sharing of costs so that everybody can get service. So that's also part of it. And I must tell you, some of the local governments have really stepped up in a big way to make this effort to provide broadband in their community. So yes, we expect the FCC to be much more aggressive. And we can tell you, we think we're in great position in Maryland because we have the capacity to get high-speed broadband in every home in Maryland. We have that capacity. It's there. This is not, we don't have to worry about the getting the service into the general area. We have the service in the general area. It's connecting it to the home. And there are different technologies that are available. And we think that this is doable. It's a doable goal that every home in Maryland should be able to get connectivity.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you for coming here today to spend some time with us. I am going to use a little bit of executive privilege to thank you for putting the legislation in to turn Southern Maryland into a national heritage area. And I know that is going to be back in process in the near future. And I want to thank your staff who has worked very closely with us to move that forward. And Lucille is on the line with us today. And last night at our full council meeting, I think Chairman Weems said, "Go national" about 3 times. We want to really express our appreciation. You know, Maryland has more heritage and more history and more positive history than I think any other state in the union. So we really appreciate your efforts in that area.
Well, I'm excited about the heritage designation. There are 55 heritage designations in the country. we want Southern Maryland to be number 56, and we're really working aggressively, and legislation is being prepared now. We're working with the committee to move this along. So we're optimistic we'll make progress in this Congress.
Well, thank you very much. And I would like everybody to thank Senator and say we really appreciate you for being here today. I really, it's been a thrill for me.
Thank you, John. Everybody stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving forward to the next agenda item, Legislative Committee. And I saw, Chris, I'm not sure I've seen Lindsay. Who wants to take the lead on the Legislative Committee item?
I'm trying to be quiet to see if Lindsay's here. I guess it's me. So the two report, well, one is actually a request to, and that quick, I've lost it. One is a request to, for the board to approve our legislative priorities, our legislative agenda for the year.
Megan has put that up on the screen here.
Okay, very good. I was trying to put it up on my screen, which does everybody no good. So we have taken input from the Executive Council. We have taken input from the general membership. And this is what we have come up with. It has been approved by the Legislative Committee. It has been approved by the Executive Committee. So, John, I guess I place it at your feet to get it approved by the General Board.
Okay, it was sent out with the package. We did review it at the last Executive Committee meeting. There were a few, we did have a few minor adjustments, but we think that it actively in a one sheet format, well, it's actually 2 pages, but if we were printing it physically, back one sheeter. And, I think that it's accurately represents our priorities, and I call for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second, this is Dr. Anderson.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Any discussion on it? Anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the Rural Maryland Council 2020 priorities, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I want to make sure everybody had a chance to unmute. Anybody opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, that's the legislative priorities are approved. And I'm not sure whether Chris or whether Charlotte want to talk about the bill tracking. I can say one thing from firsthand experience. We have a bill tracking sheet and we are updating it often. We are having meetings on Monday where any invited every other Monday. And I have been in contact with a number of people who are in other organizations. And I can tell you that the RMC staff is doing an amazing job in tracking these bills. It is a little bit like building the ship in a bottle, not being in Annapolis.
So if I can add to that, John, the rules of this year require that you don't just sign up or show up for a hearing. You have to have your written testimony in at 3 o'clock, 2 business days not including holidays, before the hearing. So Cody and Megan and Amanda and Charlotte, they've been doing a great job of trying to keep track of, you know, it's the Thursday before last of a full moon. We have to get this one particular bill in, and they get all the information to us, and they've made it so simple. I have been able to chair legislative committee meetings, so it can't get simpler than that. I'm certain of it. So they do deserve a lot of kudos this year. The right underneath the legislative priorities, you can see the bills that we are tracking. There are quite a number this year. I will say for everyone that we're supporting, we are sending in a testimony, usually written testimony. Charlotte has been able to provide oral testimony, but that's based on a lottery system in most cases. So we're ensuring that RMC has been well represented. And, you know, in what we're hearing down in Annapolis. So if you see anything on there you want any questions about, it's all kind of in brief. You can examine the bills on the tracker from Annapolis, and you can ask questions of Lindsay, myself, John, Charlotte, anyone on staff, anyone else on the legislative committee. But again, I'll echo what John said, that Charlotte and her staff have been doing a great job getting these in. One's due at 3 o'clock today, and I got an email during this meeting to make sure we had supported it and everything looked good. So it's a constant work. So thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, Chris, I've had local county commissioners call me and ask me about a particular bill. And I said, well, the Tri-County Council hasn't been able to do, we haven't met on that, but I was able to send them the RMC position paper and position them so that they knew the bill was a good bill for the rural areas. So kudos to the staff for that.
Mhm.
And you, by the way.
Not me. That's the last thing I need is kudos.
Any other questions for Chris on the legislative committee?
All right, my people, I love them.
Thank you, Chris. The next item on the agenda is the board committee reports. The first one is the financial report, which was also included in your packet. Charlotte, did you want to go over this?
Sure. So for fiscal year 2021, the council received $6,011,109. To date, we have expended $4,666,393. So we still have a handful, but not too many, outstanding grant agreements. And as you all may recall, back in September, we are retaining $400,000 to distribute in the fourth quarter of 2021, should it be approved by the Department of Budget and Management. So for the RMC operating expenses, we spent $82,477, which leaves us a balance of about $305,227. So we're in good shape operationally for the RMC, and then we'll have almost distribute all the funds for FY 2021.
Any questions on the financial report for Charlotte or myself? I don't hear any, but I am going to call for the approval of the financial.
I'll move to approve the financial report.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We're looking for a aye here on unmuted for approving the report.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Charlotte, did you want to talk a little bit about the budget since we have a few challenges there?
Yes, so the governor's budget was introduced on the 20th. And thanks to Governor Hogan, we did receive $5,071,000 for the Rural Maryland Prosperity Investment Fund, as well as $118,000 for the Maryland Agricultural Education and Rural Development Assistance Fund. That is a cut from last year. And so, you know, there is a updated formula that we have. I'm just waiting for, you know, any other issues to be identified for the Department of Legislative Services. But I don't know how you all, you know, that is going to be a cut to the grant programs that are distributed, you know, to the funding that's going to be distributed in FY 2022. And that's assuming we don't get a further cut through the legislature. So that's kind of where we are right now. Any feedback or suggestions that you may have are welcome.
Any comments? Okay, hearing none, we have the Rural Prosperity and Investment Fund, Susan O'Neill.
Hey, John, thank you. And actually, I probably let Charlotte take the lead on this, but from our last meeting, I believe she had 10 outstanding grants or 11 outstanding grants, 10 or 11, and now it looks like we're down to 9. Is that correct, Charlotte? Outstanding grants? And the committee will be meeting the end of March, mid-March, end of March, to discuss the FY22, any policy changes, application changes, and so forth. Charlotte, is there any details I've left out?
So for FY 2021, we've sent out 80 grant agreements totaling $3.1 million plus the 5 regional councils. So we have 4 grant awards to distribute that we're waiting to complete their grant agreements. And then we did have 3 small grants that were declined.
Okay. Any more comments on that, or are we done with that? Anybody have any comments? The next item, I guess we covered the 2022 budget. For RMPIF, there will be a cut if we have the $2 million budget cut, correct? So we're ready to move on to the Rural Maryland Foundation. Is Dan here today?
Well, I can jump in real quick if Dan's not
Okay.
here. The foundation has been meeting. Next scheduled meeting, oh shoot, we don't have it on here, is in March. We are working on a development plan for the foundation, as well as trying to find ways to identify, you know, move forward our transfer of wealth project that we've been undertaking. So if anybody's interested in the foundation, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, hearing none. The next agenda item is the Joint Planning and Development Committee. Telke.
Thanks, John. And I'm going to sort of look to Charlotte. Have we distributed the strategic plan? I believe it's been distributed to the membership.
Yes, everybody.
And are we looking for a vote today?
Nope, you already adopted it.
We did adopt
So
it
you
already.
get to
Thank
get to
you.
you get to go to work on policies next.
So the committee's scheduled to meet again in March, I believe. So we're going to be starting to work on policies, and I'm gathering from the foundation meetings that we're also going to be trying to help give some guidance and assistance in putting together a strategic plan for the foundation.
Yes.
And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. Now we're down to the executive director's report.
Okay, so we've been busy. You guys have our activity reports and the materials. Staff continues to meet. We meet daily, including with John. Thank you for joining us on those. Sometimes those meetings are short, sometimes we're there. It's to answer questions. So if folks are wanting to join us every morning, we do log into Zoom every day. And they've been, I think the transition to virtual has been really, really good. And we've been able to make that transition. But hopefully we can get back into the office soon and start, getting back to normal. We are starting planning for the Rural Summit. Tentative dates are December 1st and December 2nd. So please mark those. And then we do have a planning committee that meets. Folks are certainly welcome to join us on that. The planning meeting next planning meeting is March 11th. These are virtual, so anybody's welcome to join us. And then I wanted to put a plug in for our next event, which is Rural Maryland Day. So February 11th, it will be virtual. We did send out the registration link, so please plan to join us that day. We provide you with meeting materials, the talking points, and we will schedule appointments with legislators. So all we really need you to do is to show up and put your, and to advocate on behalf of rural Maryland. We will have a proclamation presented by the governor. And then we are requesting resolutions from the Senate and the House delegates on behalf of our 25th anniversary. So normally I was hoping we could have a great floor session presentation of those resolutions, but unfortunately I don't think those are going to happen this year. So, maybe in the future we can get back to some of the normal ceremonial things that we do during that day. But I think it is a great day to meet with legislators, meet your fellow residents and council members. So please, if you have any questions, reach out to me, but please plan to attend. And that's it for me.
One thing I see here kind of under that is updated board contact list.
Yes.
People, if they're like me, they've maybe shuffled around to a different phone because of virtually, or they may have had a phone number or an email change. I did see a list come across in an email. If you have any updates on that list or you see that your contact needs to be changed, it'd be a good idea to get that to the staff, to Charlotte or Megan, and get that updated. You never know when there might be a particular piece of legislation, some other event that we might want to contact you directly on. So keep your contact information up to date if you can. Down to, you mentioned Rural Maryland Day.
Yep.
And
there's a draft agenda in the packet of materials. So it's just a half a day starting at 8:30 with a briefing to 12:30. So it's not a full day.
So I think we've kind of reached the part of the meeting where sometimes we let people talk about their programs a little bit. And we, sponsored by the Rural Maryland Council. And if somebody would like to unmute, we would enjoy hearing a little bit about what you're doing with the Rural Maryland grant money.
Hi, I'm Carmela Watkins, and I'm with the Ivy and Pearls of Southern Maryland Community Charities. And we want to thank you for the support of our monies for breast cancer awareness health programs that we have been able to complete. Now, we submitted this grant way before COVID-19, and so it meant that we had to redirect our activities. And of course, now everything is virtually, but we were able to hold our Breast Cancer Awareness Day in October. It was a virtual event. Dr. Baquette was our featured speaker, and we also highlighted women who had had breast cancer. It was very well attended. We thank you for the funds. And now we will be hosting in February, March, and April workshops virtually for the community to participate in our breast cancer update workshops. So each month we will have an activity for the community to hear about breast cancer as it relates to COVID-19, as it relates to minority involvement, and just general cancer activity, the way it can affect the effects of breast cancer. So we thank you for the funds, and we will continue to do our work. We are trying to reach 800 African-American women. Thank you. Oh, and also we had a commercial that ran during the MLK breakfast in St. Mary's County. And it was a commercial to invite the people to attend our workshops in February, March, and April. So thank you.
That sounds like great news. You know, it's one of those things that during COVID, a lot of people put off doctor's visits. But, you know, there's certain things that you just should not and cannot put off. So I really appreciate the outreach that you're doing and encouraging people to, you know, continue with those visits that are so important.
If I may, I'm Peggy Alpert. I represent Advanced Biofuels USA. I have a question. Now that President Biden is encouraging reduction of fossil fuels and more emphasis on renewables, and since biofuels can come from farms and therefore increase the economic progress of the farmers, is your organization doing anything to promote the production, processing, and distribution of any kind of fuel source from farming?
Do you want me to take that, Charlotte? I can speak on that a little bit.
Sure.
You know, Dan Ryder's not here, but since the sawmill ended, there's been an economic study on using wood byproducts for fueling heating sources. And there's actually been quite a lot of work done on that. And so there is money and an economic study that's been done on that. There are other people that are working in the area of other types of biofuels. And I'm hoping that we'll have some success, but I know that Dan in particular has been working that space. And a lot of the farmers who have land also have treed land, and they need that as a source of income. And the byproducts that come from removing the logs as renewable for renewable products. Also, we don't want to waste all that energy by just throwing it on the ground. And Dan's working that problem as well.
I was thinking more of waste from farming, for instance, the husks from corns, from fodder from the animals, etc. And also land that is not good for food planting for people or animals can be used to plant things that can be used for renewables like switchgrass, etc. Also, the energy beat, which was very successful, increasing 3 times the amount of fuel produced than by corn. So I was wondering if any progress has been made with that.
So there is legislation that has been introduced from Senator Hershey, and I'm forgetting the delegate crossfile, that would add food waste into the renewable portfolio standard.
Can you say that
So
Dolly,
it would,
what was that, Dolly Cross?
there is a companion House bill to Senator Hershey's bill. I just have to look it up. I don't know off the
Okay.
top of my head but there is a House bill as well. And it would add in food waste as part of that renewable portfolio standard. Now,
Okay.
it didn't define food waste, so there's opportunity, if you wanted to suggest, and it hasn't been heard yet. And, you could certainly suggest an amendment to expand on, define what food waste is.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I jump in from the Beach to Bay Heritage Area?
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the funding that we've been able to get. And we took on a project post-COVID to help our small museums and historic sites and attractions. And it's been so successful. We are doing a series of videotaped virtual tours, and the museums are just so excited to have this tool to be able to use on their site, and we use it on ours. And we've been able to generate a lot of new content to try to help people visit in a different tourism climate. So thank you. It's been a huge success. And I should say we've been able to leverage another $10,000 from a local foundation to assist with the project. So thanks.
Fantastic.
If I can jump in behind Lisa Challenger, this is Ann Hillier with the Shorecraft beer effort that you all have generously funded. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Thanks. So you guys have funded us for a couple of years doing both the Shorecraft beer app and now a research project. And I am working with Salisbury University, thanks to your funding, to come up with groundbreaking research to try to determine what craft beer drinkers are doing with respect to tourism and how we can measure affinity created by virtual activities. And I'm really excited that we've gotten some good responses, and we put it into the interim report, what we're finding. But it's really fascinating, and Salisbury University is going to be mapping some of this data. So we will actually have a plan for more effective marketing for breweries and for tourism businesses. And I think we'll be able to produce this thanks to you, just as tourism is going to start to get, ramp back up and bring more economic vitality back to the shore. So we really appreciate what you've done. I put a link into the chat for the survey if anybody wants to fill it out, if anybody likes craft beer, and we'll add you into the data set so that we can evaluate that, as we get more data. But we appreciate everything that you've done for us. And I think we're going to have a really exciting product at the end of this project.
Thank you.
Hey, John, we do have a question in the chat.
Oh, I don't have it up. Can
from
you?
Teresa Coons. Yeah, I can read it, or if Teresa wants to ask it. Because of the closure of the grain silo in southern Anne Arundel County, is there any discussion? I don't know if any of our service partners know the answer to this. I don't see Lindsay. Lindsay, are you there?
Charlotte, what is the question?
Is there any discussion about supporting those farmers
What was the
that
question, Charlotte?
have lost the access to the closure of the grain silo in Anne Arundel County? It's in the chat.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're aware of it. Secretary Bartenfelder's actually spent a lot of time working on the issue. Purdue is closing the facility, and there's discussion of it transferring to a new owner. And so, everybody's very concerned about it, and stay tuned.
Well, this is Suzanne from the Maryland Agricultural Education Foundation, and I wanted to hop on and say thank you to Rural Maryland Council for funding our latest course offering that's available online. It's Infusing Agriculture in the Middle School Classroom. The funding helped pay for the development of the course. We leveraged it with the ag tag revenues. Make sure you get your ag tag. And we are in registration right now, registration process for the course at Goucher. It provides 3 continuing education credits for teachers so they can maintain their teaching certificate. And the course will kick off on March 29th and continue through the middle of May. We just recently found out that high school teachers may also be eligible to take this course. So we're going to make sure that we can verify that with MSDE, that they will be eligible to get the credits. But I want to thank you for supporting this project because it's been a wonderful component already to increase our offerings. We've done a elementary program for a long time, and this was just sort of a natural progression. And it was kind of a really nice surprise to understand that we could get, 2 courses for the price of 1, basically, to be able to teach middle school and high school teachers with this course. So we look forward to a lot of success with this in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak up before we call this meeting to a close here? Charlotte, do you have any final words before we call for adjournment?
No, just thanks for being here. And as always, if any questions or concerns come up, to please contact myself or the staff. We're happy to help.
Yes, and if anybody needs help, they can reach out to me at the Tri-County Southern Maryland. Carolyn Adams, my assistant, and she is really fantastic. So don't be afraid to reach out to me if you need something. So I think our business is done, Charlotte. May we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Steve McHenry.
Thank you, Steve. A second?
Debbie Bowden, I'll second.
Thank you, Susan. All right, we have a motion and a second, and I think that we'll just all vote for adjournment by just signing off the meeting. So, hey, have a good afternoon, and you're interested in the legislative committee, just reach out, I'll send you the link. It's really helpful. So it's here to service you.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Charlotte.
Everybody. Thank you. Be safe.
Yeah. Have a great weekend. And I'll hang out. I can hang out for a little bit since if anybody has any questions. Hey, Heather, how you doing?
I have a question.
Yes.